I got into multi-site when I was a senior pastor of a growing church that had run out of room and had built buildings and become landlocked and great location. But so how do we continue to accommodate the growth that God was giving, blessing in our church? And when I was, we were hosting a satellite conference from Chicago, from Willow Creek, this leadership summit, by way of a simulcast, and that idea hit me then back in 1998. I wonder if this concept could work on a weekly basis with a local church. And that's how I got into multi-site. The multi-site strategy is a tool that churches of various philosophies can embrace because it allows them to extend themselves economically, efficiently, and because of the technology that's now available that wasn't available a few years ago. Well, Jason, I believe by the end of the decade, every mid-sized town and major city in America will have a multi-site church. They're already happening, multi-site churches are already occurring internationally. I think the technology that's available to us here in America maybe will enhance that overseas, but in one sense this is not a new concept, but the technology has a good wrinkle to it. Well, the scary part of moving into multi-site church is the fact that it's a total reorientation of how we used to do church. Most church leaders think of what I call have a mono-site mentality. That is, they think of a local church in one location, building, and if they go beyond that, it's about a typical church plant where you go start another church and launch them out and they become their own independent church. But to begin to move from a mono-site church to a multi-site church is a paradigm shift. There's an allocation of resources, alignment of ministries and staff. There's a lot of wrinkles and implications of that multi-site approach that has to be really thought through and addressed before you fully launch out there. And so that it's a complicated process of thinking that through. But but the advantages, I believe, outweigh the hassles of realignment. The aha for me is that this multi-site movement, which really began in earnest about 5 years ago, has moved from the early innovators to the early adopters. And the tipping point, I think, has occurred. It's real evident at this conference that now there's the second wave of, they're not asking the question, should we do multi-site? They're asking the question, how do you do it? Or the question in the past was, can multi-site work? Now the question is, how do you do it? Today's leaders of growing churches are thinking about multi-site. Tomorrow, most of us will be.